Hi, everybody. Hello, and welcome to day 4 of Let's Write a Novel Together. So as a quick recap, I'm using Lisa Cron's Story Genius to get me started with this novel. I think her approach and Jenny Nash's approach is one of the best out there. I love it. Really helps me get into the head of my character, kind of really try and understand what I want for the story before I get too involved in writing and then discover it's no good and pull back and I need to stop. So go back and check out days 1, 2, and 3, and then that will bring you up to today, which is of the UK version. We're looking at page 51, and it is step 4, drafting your what if. So this is really important. So I'm a pantser, as you know, and even for pantsers, it's still really important that you have some idea of where the story is going. You're making life really difficult for yourself if you have no clue at all, that you only have, say, this opening scene, and for some of you maybe even a scene that takes place in the middle of the book somewhere. It's making life really difficult. So have a think at this point about what could a possible storyline be for this. Now, because you're a pantser, you don't need to have a lot of detail for this. What I recommend is having a beginning, middle, and end, what I call signposts. For me, I call these the signposts. So I know roughly at the beginning what I want to be happening in my story. I have a kind of midpoint, or that moment of where everything changes for the character, and things are so bad that they can only go up, or they're so good that they can only go down. And then by the end, what do I want to happen by the end of the story? What's my happy ever after for this book? And I think this is vital. It's, I'm sure you've heard the analogy before that you can't use a satnav. You get in the car, you use your satnav, but your car's got to know where you're starting from. It's got to know where it's going in order to give you the directions you need, those 2 points. So if even that middle point, that middle signpost, even if that feels too much for you right now, just know where you want to start and know where you want to finish. It doesn't have to be set in stone, but you need to give yourself some kind of parameters. It not only does it just keep things safe for you, having those parameters, but also forces you to use your creativity and see, okay, what can I do with that? How can I move along that road if I've got these 2 bookends of where I'm starting and where I'm finishing? So it's really important to have them even as a pantser. So I do love the what if, and my kind of beginning what if is, well, what if a woman discovered that her perpetrator was not who she thought it was, but in fact was someone much closer to home, and they were going to do whatever they could to make sure that nobody ever found out. So that's my kind of basic what if, and it could change as I go along, but I need something to get me started with. But the other thing that I like to use is the Pixar pitch. I think this is a great way of thinking about your story. Needless to say, judging by its name, it's the formula that Pixar use when they're coming up with story ideas. And as we know, Pixar make brilliant stories, really amazing stories. So I'm going to put the Pixar pitch, the formula, into the notes for this episode. It's really good. And what it's good for is it makes sure that you have a starting point, you have a cause and effect, and then you have your end point. So it's giving you all of those satnav coordinates that you need to get you from beginning to middle to end. And so the Pixar pitch really is, you have once upon a time, something, or there was a person. Every day they did something until one day something happened. Now, the key here with the Pixar pitch, it's not something happened and then another thing happened and then another thing happened. What differentiates this is the Pixar pitch asks, One day this happened. Because of that, this happened. Because of that, this happened. Because of that, this happened, until eventually you get to the end, and then you have the sort of end of it. So bearing in mind this is a rough go, and I'm taking you on this journey with me, so bear with me. It might not be the best. I've got, once upon a time there was an accountant called Ashley. Ashley's a girl, by the way. Every day she went to work, and every night she had nightmares. One day her friend suggested they fly to Peru and take part in a plant medicine ceremony she'd read about, because if she relived the night she was attacked, she would be able to move past the trauma. Because of that, Ashley thinks she knows who her perpetrator is. Because of that, she tells the police. Because of that, a man is falsely arrested and imprisoned. Because of that, an old school classmate tells her the same thing happened to her, and she thinks the wrong man has been convicted. Because of that, the police investigate again and figure out who the real culprit was, until they find out it was Ashley's father-in-law and they catch him. So that's my really rough what if combined with the Pixar pitch. So the challenge for you, should you wish to accept it, is to do your own. What is that kind of very high level what if? That idea, this is, you hear Stephen King talk about this a lot. What if I took this idea and mixed it with that idea? So this is how you could do yours, taking two sort of ideas that feel opposite to one another, and combine them and smash them up and see what happens. And you could go that one step further if you want, if you've got a clearer idea of the way the story is going to go, and put together your Pixar pitch, which, as I say, I'll put in the notes at the bottom. Such a great way of thinking about your story, because it's making sure that you've got that cause and effect logic going on. Because of one thing, the second thing happens. Because of the second thing, the third thing happens. Because of the third thing, the fourth thing happens, until you get to the end of your story. All right, if you've got any questions about that, please pop them in the comments below. Don't forget, if you're enjoying this series, if you're intrigued to see how this is going to go, either to see me succeed or to see me fail, do hit subscribe and make sure you get the notifications, hit the little bell, so you'll know when my next video is up and you can see how my journey is going. But even better than that would be for you to write along with me, and let's do this together. We're still at the preparatory stages. It won't be too long until we start doing the writing, and it would be wonderful if you could write along with me and we do it together. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.